So first of all, Happy New Year to everyone. And by that I mean Happy Liturgical New Year. This is the season of Advent, and that is in fact considered the start of our church calendar. So in case you haven't heard this before, Advent is all about waiting. You know, awaiting the coming of Christ, the joy of Christmas, all of that. That is Advent. And the first Sunday of Advent today really goes heavy on that theme of waiting. We had a very direct gospel reading today, where it makes it clear we do not know exactly when Christ will come again. So we are called to wait and hold fast to faith. Honestly, I don't think it could have been any clearer. Think again about that last line in the gospel. You too must be prepared, for at an hour you do not expect, the Son of Man will come. So on that note, I have a little bit of fiction that I really want to share with you. Again, on that theme of waiting. It's actually kind of the opposite of what Jesus was trying to get at. Because Jesus was saying that we need to await the vital goodness of his kingdom. And the reference I have in mind is more about the need for vigilance against new evil appearing, which of course we are always called to resist. As a matter of fact, it comes from a King Arthur movie back in the 80s, one of my favorites. And I'll admit, a lot of the movie is it's dated, but I love Merlin in this version of King Arthur. The actor who plays him he sells the entire movie from start to finish in my book. So early in the Arthurian legend, early in the movie, Arthur is with his knights, and they're celebrating because they had just defeated the last warlord that was rebelling against them. So now the entire island is unified, the entire kingdom is at peace, there's no one left for them to fight. They won the war. And while they're all happy about that for good reason, Merlin knew better. Merlin knew that there was way more for more for King Arthur to accomplish. I'm getting ahead of myself, I'm sorry. There was more for King Arthur to accomplish than that. That wasn't the end of anything. If anything, it was a beginning. So on that night, what Merlin said to the knights was this. He said, "Remember this night. Savor it. Rejoice with great gladness. Remember this night, this great victory, so that in the years to come, you can say, I was there. I was there that night with King Arthur. Remember it well, for it is the doom of men that they forget." Sure enough, some years roll by, and the knights kind of forget who they are and what they stand for. In the pleasures of peacetime, they grew complacent. They got fat and lazy, I think is layman's terms. So at some banquet, doesn't matter what, King Arthur boasts to Merlin in front of everybody to make fun of him, to put him in his place. So he says, "Answer me this, Merlin. For years, peace has reigned in the kingdom. Crops grow in abundance and there is no want. All of my subjects enjoy their portion of happiness and justice. So tell me, Merlin, have we defeated evil as it appears we have?" Merlin says, "Good and evil, you never really have one without the other. Where hides evil then in my kingdom? always in the place that you never expect. Always. What can I say? I love those scenes. I always have. And it's true, it is true that there will always be change on the horizon. There will always be a new challenge or new difficulty for us to overcome. No one can afford to assume that the world will stay the same just because they want it to. It doesn't work that way. There is clearly more yet to come. And honestly, I can picture that version of Merlin serving the apostles in just the same way. Like maybe the very day after Pentecost, like some kind of old bearded angel. Remember this day, savor it, remember it well, so that in the years to come, you can tell other people what you witnessed and experienced when Jesus the Christ was here among you. Remember it well, for it is the doom of men that they forget. In just the same way as the apostles, we are called to be ready and waiting for the kingdom of God, because God is simply clearly not done with us. There is more yet to come. And to be found waiting is to be found alert and prepared for good and for evil, because they are both on the way. We have a tendency to get into trouble, to enter into sin, when we fail to look beyond the immediate issues right in front of us, when we fail to be alert. We fixate on the little things right in front of us, and we fail to see Christ walking right up to us. That's the problem. So what we heard in the gospel was very simple. It was simply Christ urging us to watch out. Because very often, the things that most easily grab our attention are the things that don't matter quite so much. The things that are truly important, well, sometimes they require a measure of effort to see clearly and remember well. So every day of our lives, but most especially in a season of Advent, let us be found waiting and alert, and let us not be victims of our own forgetfulness.